And we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the latest episode of the Sling'N podcast. I'm TJ.
And I'm Kent.
And this week, Kent, what do we got for the folks tonight?
We're going to talk about how not to die in active shooter critical incidents. And we're going to raise some money for our buddy.
That's absolutely correct. Folks, last week, you hopefully caught the episode. If not, it's also been broadcast onto your podcast player. So please set a reminder, go download that stuff. But we talked a lot about the Uvalde shooting, right? We went over the video. We looked at all that stuff, the notes, the after action report, all the nitty gritty details. And then through the course of our conversation, as it often does, Kent and I sat down and talked about what we wanted to talk about this week. And we said, you know what, let's start helping right the wrongs and correct the deficiencies, as we try to do on this podcast week after week, and decided to actually start talking about what you can do both individually and revisit organizationally what you can be doing, not only for yourself, but maybe for the places that you work, right? Those places that are non-permissive environments that we all begrudge so much for, albeit a permitted trampling on our rights in an individual capacity, right? But I think we should start with the good news first. And that is, just as an update, Cam also tuned into the show last week. He's been doing very well, up and moving around a little bit as best he can. But we've launched his shirt. The Stand with Cam shirt campaign is officially live on our Teespring. I'm posting a link here in the chat for you folks. I'll also include one in the description. But as is customary here on the show, any t-shirt design that is inspired by one of our guests will go to a charity of that guest's choosing. In this case, any and all proceeds of the sales of these shirts will go directly to Cam for him to do with as he wishes, right? He last I checked, the GoFundMe has met their goal for his medical bills, but at the same time, those of you that have had any major medical procedures know that that's a drop in the bucket, and there's a lot more that he's going to need. So while we encourage you still to go contribute to the GoFundMe if you feel so inclined, if you want to donate directly, if you want to buy a shirt, show some solidarity with Cam, I think you guys will truly enjoy the design that we picked out. So Kent, I'm curious though, like you commented on because I sent you the concept before we went live with it.
Yeah.
And your response was positive. You were like, that's awesome. I love it. But I really wanted to, this is the first time we've really gotten to talk about it. Like, what did you really think of it?
I think the idea has legs. I think if we lean into it and hop on our initiative, we should be able to foot the benefit of some solid charitable contributions. Toes and shit. There, that's my response. I got pretty much down the limb.
Yeah, you got down there.
I got down pretty far. Yeah, dude, you did a nice job with this one. Appreciate you doing it for him. And honestly, it's cool to have friends like him who won't care about a little humor in a t-shirt design. Because I'll admit, like, the few of the people in my circle I showed it to were like, whoa, like even you guys, like, goddamn, and it's like, no, wait, like. So I think it should be accompanied with a 15-minute Sling'N podcast video presentation of every time Cam took a big swig of booze on this show.
I don't know if we could fit all that in 15 minutes, brother.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Like this is a
or the chingalinging of the ice cubes as he mixed his naked turtle and his Dr. Pepper together.
Yeah, this is a legendary man who deserves legendary status on his t-shirts.
Yeah, the only downside, because I had to borrow a picture of him that I could get a hold of and edit. And yes, for those of you that are playing the home game, I absolutely took a picture of Cam in standing in what is probably one of the most epic poses that the man has stood in, at least that I can see. And I had it edited to remove the left leg. In pure Cam glory, he is standing broad-chested, sans left leg, in front of an American flag. The only thing you're missing is an eagle scream and shotgunning a White Claw. But I feel like I did a disservice because if Cam, maybe it's on his OnlyFans, but if it would, because he's wearing like really short shorts in this picture.
Yeah, he is.
If his dick was out,
well,
like just hanging out of the shorts, like,
yeah,
I feel like that would have completely encapsulated his humor.
So I certainly zoomed in looking for that. I didn't find it, but yeah. So I don't know. I plan to post the ever-loving dog shit out of that on all of his social medias now that we just launched it. And
yeah, I also have already ordered my shirt and one for Charlie as well. And we will be doing some photos with it and stuff like that to help post it out there on social media.
Yeah, it's that's the least we can do. We stay tuned for some other stuff. I'm trying to get a med class on the books for a date. We're going to be donating money from that, and I've got a gun that I'm going to raffle off in kind of an interesting fashion. We'll see how we can do that. The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is a little bit more difficult to raffle guns than I thought it would have been, as it turns out. So. But I got a Barry Kripke waffle in store. I'm gonna waffle something. Might have to give it to somebody in another state, like transfer it to that person, and then have them. I don't know what we have to do, but don't worry, ATF. We'll do it legally. Don't come find me. My dogs are dogs.
Don't come knocking on our door asking to see, to check on a straw purchase or anything.
Yeah, really.
Which is, having worked in gun stores, I have never heard of shit like that happening.
I almost didn't believe that one. I almost was like, oh, this video is fake.
You know what threw me off on that video? Just as a tangent, and we're going to get into the actual topic tonight, but folks, go buy a shirt, support Cam. He's given us hours of not just amazing humor and a glimpse into the beautiful soul that is that wonderful man, but also provided hours and hours of some of the best long-range shooting and reloading content that you could probably ever imagine.
Yeah.
But go support our buddy, go buy a shirt, or go donate to the GoFundMe. Links chat and in description after the show. But just as what threw me for that video, just as a tangent, segue, if you will, into our discussion for tonight. I've never seen an ATF field agent with a placard that said police on it.
Yeah.
That's what kind of, like, it's the military thing, right? And I'm sure you do it too from the gun side of it. Like when they're mishandling a firearm the wrong way in a movie, or the sight's on backwards, or some dumb shit like that. Like, It's those little minute, to the most people, details that are like, some ain't right.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I kind of had me some suspicions that might not be a real video. Well, it's clearly a real video in that the video is a real video. The aliens didn't make it, but like, I don't know if that's actually depicting a real live law enforcement incident or if it's some sort of nonsense. I sense some chicanery, but
yeah,
chicanery. But anyway,
so prepping for an active shooter / mass casualty event, right? Because I think both elements of this need to be considered. Not everyone's going to be able to go, by the way, Dickens drill, and 40-yard, 8 rounds on target, this motherfucker in a shopping mall. There's going to be a need to treat casualties, to treat the wounded, right?
I could have done 9 rounds and 41 yards in 13 seconds.
Put up or shut up.
I'm sorry. I'm just making fun of it. Like, I love you. So good, bad. I love you going out, all yous that have been going out and putting up the videos of like your own version of doing the Dickens drill. But apply some context to that, right? Like, a lot of us can stand and deliver and shoot 15 seconds and 10 rounds and hit at least 80% and way better than that in way shorter time. And the shooting feat, the feat of drawing the pistol and making those shots as a physical skill set is a secondary factor to the mental fortitude that it would take to actually make that thing happen. Right. For Mr. Dickens. So, you know, yeah, absolutely. I would expect if you're charging people money for firearms training, I would expect that you can absolutely do that drill tomorrow. I don't think it's a super duper human feat. I do think that putting out the content, however, is an homage and a salute and a thank you to that young man and a like, hey dude, you did a good job here, and we're gonna pay you homage and show you some respect by going all of us going out and doing this thing. I think that's really, really cool. I just think that like the two sides of the internet that I've seen in the gun world in the last couple of weeks have been, you know, the one side's going, shit, that's easy, stop making a big deal out of it. And the other side's going like, well, hey, wait a minute, man. It's like, hey, the bottom line is the young man did a really good job. Mm-hmm. And he obviously put up or shut up in a situation that was quite, you know, hey, like there's more to, oh, look, that's what I was about to say, Dan Brady. I was about to say there's more to CCW than 3 yards, 3 rounds, 3 seconds. And fucking Dan Brady types it into the chat almost like we're working together and on cue, except we're not. Like, yeah, that was the point. So most of these guys that train and talk and do the thing with the thing and press the thing and shoot the thing do a lot of that from like 10 yards and in and don't even consider the reality that there might have to be a 40-yard shot with a pistol. The only other thing I'll say about this one is like, hey, come on. Stop posting shit unless you know it. Like, Mr. Elijah Dickens was presented to be an African-American man with dreadlocks on the Instagrams. And then he turned out to be a pasty white kid. And then he turned out like nobody knows anything. Stop talking about these events 2 days after they happened. Nobody knows anything yet. Like, it's all speculation. So, you know, but Mr. Dan from Apache brings up a good point, right? Like, it's not about the awesome shooting feat. It's about the fact that most people don't even do that.
Yeah. Honestly,
never fired a shot at 40 yards.
Yeah, that's what I took away from it. Yeah. Was a glaring example that, hey, that hostage shot from 20 yards or that no-fail pistol drill that everyone does on the internet for, you know, homage to Mr. Pressburg, right? These high accuracy demanding shots are certain. They have their place. They certainly have their place for sure. And if you're not training it, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah. Also, it's hard to shoot like that with 4-pound steel balls. Yeah, it is. I should know a thing or two about that. My balls weigh 4 pounds. Not of steel.
I don't know where I've lost control of the podcast, folks. I don't know where this is going anymore.
What's your balls weigh?
I don't know. I don't have a scale that goes up that fucking high.
Nice.
Boom.
Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to go there.
Yep. So let's talk active shooters and let's talk things that can come good out of the Uvalde thing. Let me tell you all, before TJ says a word, I'm going to tell you the best thing that's come out of this Uvalde conversation and the podcast that we did. I have been trying to get TJ off the fucking bench and get him into teaching for 3 years now. And TJ is so pissed that he's writing a freaking POI about how to teach civilians how to handle shit like that. So stay tuned. GMD will be bringing you something, and much in my fashion, when I'm not the guy to be presenting it to you because it's outside my subject matter expertise, I go find them. Here he sits. He's on the show. So now you're going to have to deal with old freaking, you know, TJ's going to start knife handing everybody and hollering and making us do, I don't know, push-ups and rope swings.
I don't knife hand so much anymore. I was raised Catholic, so it's more of a glare of disappointment.
Yeah. So anyway, my favorite genesis from that whole conversation. Well, there's two. There's the talk with the teacher from here locally that I feel real good about, and that's nice. There's some other talks with some local organizations and stuff like that maybe can get some help. And finally, there's like it's getting TJ off the bench into the teaching arena. So now you done fucked around and found out. Now you're in trouble. I don't think the training community is ready for the lead slinging ginger in full force. This is going to get wild.
They weren't really ready for it when I tried this so many years ago.
Well, yeah, I mean, you just might. Dan Brady almost got fired during. Every good Dan Brady story starts with "I almost got fired." ... Yeah.
I mean, it grabs your attention.
I know you put out good content back in the day, and you'll do it again.
So honestly, I think just as a side note, Dan Brady needs to start like a subreddit or a Reddit page that's just I almost got fired ... and then just let the stories come in.
My favorite thing about Dan Brady stories is when you hear them from people from Vermont that don't even know each other, and like that's when it's like the best story. You know how like your grandpa would tell a story and that story would change every time you heard it because it was bullshit and grandpa wasn't doing a very good job. I've heard a couple of Dan Brady stories from like 6 different people, all to the T, exactly the same. Now, granted, 4 of us all knew the dude, but then my buddy, who belongs to an organization or used to belong to an organization that he used to belong to, is on there going, "Hey, so I heard about that. Like, I didn't know who the guy was, but I heard that whole damn story." And you're like, "Whoa,
it's a thing to be on. We got to get Dan back on the show sometime." But yeah, Kent, I think just topically, or categorically rather, I think it's probably easiest to start with absolute perfect situation. There's no restrictions, no limitations. You can have whatever you want in your vehicle, on you, whatever have you. You know, what's your setup look like for active shooter prep?
What, like gear-wise?
Yeah, gear-wise, training-wise, leading up to the because remember, title of the show, prepping for an active shooter event, right? So what kind of considerations can we discuss, right? I think some of the more obvious, right? Sidearm, probably backup magazine, on-person med kit, ankle med kit, something in your backpack, whatever have you. That's like your basic everyday carry shit. So where are you going above and beyond to address and, consider a mass cas or active shooter situation?
Yeah, unfortunately, this is going to be a real short segment from my point of view because I'm not changing a thing. I do exactly what I believe I need to do as a father and a husband and a member of the training community. I have a pistol on me. I have a med kit on me. I have a means of communication on me. I dress appropriately to actually be able to use, the equipment I got on me. I'm not, in all candor, on my person, I'm not walking into any establishment or any situation thinking, well, today's the day there's going to be an active shooter. Because if I am, I ain't walking in the door, right? Like,
well, yeah.
From a civilian dad, just dude on the street perspective, nothing changes. Daddy's got his pistol. Daddy's got his med kit. Mommy's got her med kit. Hell, James has his own damn med kit. Like, there's a med kit in a baby bag, et cetera, et cetera. James has his own pistol, too. It just doesn't shoot bullets. It shoots bullets. But, I mean.
Why are you emphasizing the H?
Cool. But I'm not doing anything different. Now, from the perspective of a business owner and a leader in a couple different like community organizations and places and things of that nature, like, hey, now you gotta, if you're in charge of more than just yourself and your family, like let's say you owned a retail establishment in a mall, or let's say you were a school teacher and you now the things that take me outside of the normal who I am everyday guy and put me into I'm a guy that owns a firearms training company. Well, the truth is in either of our vehicles, Sophia's or myself, there's what you would consider mass casualty capable medical equipment already. that's an everyday occurrence for us because of who we are and what we do for a living. So it somewhat translates. I don't expect mom or dad or brother or sister, aunt or uncle guy to throw. Today we're going to the mall, so somebody's got to carry this backpack full of tourniquets and Glock mags and shit.
Right.
Because again, don't go to that mall. Like if you really, honest to God, truly believe that shit, then I'm sorry. I also think that while the vehicles are well stocked and that's all well and good and that's not a bad life choice, the chances are really remotely low of me leaving the premises, grabbing equipment and turning around and coming back into the premises. This actually, believe it or not, folks, this conversation is what started TJ and I's friendship, because we ended up on a podcast together as mutual guests with the guy who was talking about the pistol caliber carbine setup you should have in your truck for the eventual Walmart nightmare apocalypse, and
in the parking lot of all places.
In the parking lot, and it wasn't about going into Walmart; it's just to win the fight in the parking lot. And he was going to set up this entire course curriculum based on using PCCs to fight your way out of the Walmart parking lot. Good God Almighty, help us! We need to. In case of Kit Kat's, Pepto Bismol, a hair dryer, toenail clippers. Nice, Dan Brady. Of course, neither of us needed.
First of all, Dan Brady, that's hurtful.
Yeah, neither of us need a hair dryer.
Insubordinate and churlish. That's all I can say.
No.
So, well, let's back up a little bit because you've gone down a path that I feel like we kind of need to revisit, right?
Sure.
You talk about avoiding those dangerous areas. Like I identify, look, if you live in a town for more than, let's say, a year, you probably know what areas you need to avoid.
Yeah, town.
Right? So there's a lot of mental preparation that you're going through, right? Conflict avoidance, right? Best way to not get into that situation is to stay away from the areas that are prone to those types of situations, right?
Yep.
So what are you doing maybe with your family, with the missus and the kiddo and the dogs? Like what kind of conversations, like prepping, that's preparation is the first phase of this shit, right? So how are we considering these situations and opening up those discussions to make sure that we're all starting from the same baseline as like a family unit?
Sure. So communication is key, and alignment in values is key. You can have a disagreement in those values, but you have to eventually come to terms on what our priorities will be, right? I'll give you a perfect example. My wife and I at one point were put in, yeah, we know, Dan, dark humor, dude. I've been doing dark humor on this topic for like.
But between dark humor and Nickelodeon grade fart jokes, I think we're on par.
Yeah, we're good. But anyway, listen, I had to have a conversation with my wife some years ago about whether we were going to save the baby or her, right? And that conversation ended in a disagreement. I didn't agree with what she wanted, but I honored her choice. If that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So I think most parents, most family units could agree pretty easily, like, hey, party number one is these kids or this kid and me and mine getting the hell out of here. And I think that should be priority number one for the vast majority of us, over and above your projected self-heroism that you're going to be the guy who dives into this and you'll be the next dude on the, it won't be the Dickens drill. It'll be the Ramsey drill. So the question is, and I sat with Soph on this just the other day to revisit it again. Are you okay if I don't come home over this shit? The answer to my family is yes, as it turns out. That's our business. It's not okay if I don't bring James home over this shit, though, right? So if you're a father out in public and you're not first and foremost taking care of your own child. You're kind of deficient in that category. Now, if you're a father out in public and you and yours, you're the only one in danger, the rest of them are safe. Now there's this decision tree, which is, can I live with having been here and having done nothing? Or do I owe it as am I duty bound or honor bound or religiously bound or morally bound to jump in and do something about this shit?
Right.
Now, I don't know about all that. I don't know if I feel a sense. I know I feel a sense of duty and moral and all that, but my thought process is, quite frankly, much simpler than that. I mean, I have a pretty decent, considerable skill set, and I have the tools to be of good here. I can't imagine not exercising that ability, barring some unforeseen circumstance. If I'm at the freaking King of Prussia Mall and my wife and I are pulling up as shit goes off, I'm very likely to drop that bitch back in gear and leave the way I can. I'm not gonna leave my wife and kid floundering in the parking lot while they're trying to figure out who's gonna drive and get out. Like I'm out. I'm just gonna turn around and take them to safety.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say, and I don't think that there's a reasonable human being that would disagree with this, is that when presented with an opportunity to evade the situation and avoid the danger unnecessarily, or to get into that danger unnecessarily and avoid it altogether, without the duty or expectation to respond, you should probably consider just unassing the area.
Yeah, get the fuck out.
So for those that have been watching the show long enough will have heard me talk about the time when I was in the Seattle-Tacoma Mall when a dude came into the food court and started shooting the place up. Very similar to what we saw, right? With I believe they were the assailants were equally equipped, but Psycho came into the mall in the Seattle-Tacoma Mall and started shooting the joint up with an AK. I wouldn't say I was in close proximity at all. I was probably a good. So if you had examined the floor plan of that mall, the food court is central to the mall, as most food courts are. Then you have the different corridors where all the shops and stores are. Out there, you have exits and entrances. I was probably halfway in that corridor between the food court and the main exit when people start running past me. I so happened to recognize several law enforcement officers who were friends of mine hauling ass as well. They were off duty, plain clothes, but they were there with their families. It was, if I remember correctly, it was close to a holiday weekend. So it wasn't uncommon to see people going out and getting family pictures and shit like that. This is early in the early 2000s when people still did shit like that. But people go to get family photos or whatever have you, and they're hauling ass. I wasn't allowed to carry at the time. Couldn't even buy a pistol or a handgun. So it was follow suit and get the hell out of there. Right? I have an opportunity to escape and evade.
Well, you were what? You're a 19-year-old.
I believe I was like, 20 something.
Okay.
I might have just turned 21. I have to look up exactly when that happened. It was so many years ago. But I might have been 21 or 22. Actually, no, I take that. I recall because I was with Charlie. We were at least dating at the time. We weren't married yet. So this would have been 2006, right before my second deployment. I was old enough to own and purchase a firearm, but I was never in the country long enough to go procure it because then I would have to find a place to store it.
Yeah.
Whenever I was deployed. That's why I was unarmed. So that was the situation. Either way, regardless of that, regardless of the semantics, I was unarmed. Even if I was, I would follow the same damn course of action that I took, right? But I also had mentally pre-gamed it. And this is kind of where the conversation is going, right? These difficult conversations that we need to have is essentially what ifing these different scenarios. Hey, at what point is the necessary criteria met where I'm going to engage rather than escape and evade? Are my wife and kids with me? Are other family members and loved ones with me? Right? Am I trapped? Is that What is the course of action? If other innocent lives are going to be jeopardized, what am I doing? Right. And these are those different, what if scenarios that you need to have with your spouse, significant. And now if you're a single person, you do you, boo boo. But those of us that have families and are responsible for other people have a responsibility further to have these difficult conversations in discussions.
Yep. It's the whole, how are we really going to approach this? Not just, and every dude, the same dude who explains to me that he doesn't really need the concealed carry class, but he's going to come take it anyway in America. And I'm like, bro, I don't teach concealed carry. He's like, whatever it is that you do out there, I'm going to come give her a shot just so I can say I did. And you're like, bro, fucking spare me. I don't know who
the people who have been shooting since birth, and they're putting the fucking magazine in backwards.
Right, tater. Anyway, that same dude who's telling me that is on the book face going, yeah, goddamn right. The NRA put up another, and we're going to be there to protect our brothers. I'm really liking this voice tonight. You got me. But he's out there bragging how he's prepared to handle this. And I'm like, based on what metric? Like, given what set of ground?
Yeah, what demonstrable skill can you perform on command and prove to me that you have the necessary, like, average citizen? Let's put things in very simple buckets here. I think there's a vast majority of us, those that listen to this podcast, and even those that don't, but still pay attention to shit, will acknowledge that cops generally can't shoot just for shit, right?
Yeah.
Accuracy of your average law enforcement street cop is very low when it comes to gunfighting. They still train more than the average civilian who carries, right?
They do.
So every average citizen who carries, I'm going to assume, is probably less proficient than your average street cop, and your average street cop, many of which will probably even admit themselves that they don't get enough training.
Right.
How can you expect to hold people to a higher standard that you yourself will not even try to attain?
Well, ain't that the bitch?
Right.
The bottom line here is that we have to admit that, the skill sets required to do stuff like this come at the expense of a whole shitload of time, effort, and energy, and aren't just bestowed upon dudes because they have penises and guns. Like, that's not how this works.
Right.
So I wish there was less of that, silliness. And I wish there was more reality-based conversations going on about, like, hey, what does this really look like? Where do we prioritize our time, effort, and energy? How do I prepare my family for an event like this? What age is too old? What age is too young to be talking to your kids about this stuff? What is it your kids should be being taught about this? Who do you want to be the voice? It's kind of like sex education, right? Do you want the school to be the voice, or do you want to be the voice?
We'll get into that topic another day.
I don't know. I think that's very relevant for this, because people, we're talking about the entire environment here.
Right.
That environment includes your family.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was talking about the sex ed talk. But I mean, yeah, the reality of the situation is, and I think somebody mentioned it in the chat. It might have been Dan, but it's about exposing them to the ugliness and the realities of the world, right? And let's equate it to the birds and the bees talk, right? There is often, at least when I was coming up in school, and from what I understand, it's largely the same format. But sexual education starts generally in a health class and is presented in a group forum with very broad spectrum, like topical content, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, guys, boys have a penis, girls have a vagina, whatever have you. This is what they look like. This is the organ, but it's very scientific. But what that does, that provides a few benefits, right? It removes some of the taboo nature to it, right? It allows people to. It's a lot easier to prevent individual embarrassment because generally they separate the boys and the girls, so all the boys are in one class, all the girls are in their class, and you guys are kind of learning the same content, but it takes the pressure away, right?
Yep.
But then it's up to the parents, right, to come in and kind of fill in the details, right? Fill in the gaps and voids in the content where maybe sexual education isn't presented as, a decision that two people who are in a loving and responsible relationship and where they need to be in their lives financially and professionally and whatever have you before they make that decision to ultimately do something like that, or maybe follow a religious practice or religious belief structure where you should wait until you're married and stabilized in the relationship before you consummate the marriage, right? All those little finer points and details that make up the moral fibers of your values, right, are where we need to come in. I think in that same respect, I don't think it's on the grander industry to expose the finer nitty-gritty details to how ugly the world can be. They're going to find that out on their own, right? We dealt with that last year where my son was getting horribly bullied and threatened all the time, right? He didn't need me to sit down and tell him that, hey, dude, there's some assholes in the world. He knew.
Right.
But I needed to fill in some of the details. I'm like, hey, dude, look, you were called names and they made you feel bad and this, that, like you got the high level of it. Here's where this can really get ugly, right? And that's when you start talking to your kids about things like stranger danger. Hey, there are people that will take you, throw you in the trunk of a car, and we will never see you again if you fall for the lost puppy bullshit or I have free candy, right? You have to start gradually introducing them into that content, because at the same time, while you want them to be educated and aware, you don't want to cripple them with fear.
Right.
Kent, we talked about, if you know of a shady area, of a bad spot, a mall that's in the middle of a crime-ridden area or district, you're probably not going to go to that mall. But you're not going to stop going to malls.
Right.
That's kind of the balance when you're talking about that family dynamic and preparing for these types of disastrous situations. I don't want my kids to be afraid to go to school. Right? I don't want my kids to be afraid to go to the mall. I don't want them to be afraid to associate, even with, counterintuitive to my previous point, but to not associate with people they've never met before, a la strangers, because that could be a friend that they hadn't met yet. Kent, you and I were perfect strangers until we met on that podcast.
Well,
right?
You did talk about your lost puppy and shit. So.
Got you in the van, bitch. Shut up and put the duct tape back on.
Okay.
But you get my point. You don't want to cripple them to the point to where that they're no longer productive members of society. Right? We're not raising a bunch of Howard Hugheses here.
Ooh, solid reference.
You like that?
That was good. So, I think Lee Weems here. Shout out Lee. Thanks for coming on and being productive in the chat. Lee brought up a really good point about willingness to act being of very high importance and relevance, right? Act can take many forms. So, willingness to act might be your willingness to get a med kit out and go to work on somebody. Willingness to act might be your willingness to encumber yourself by helping a mom get her children out of there. Willingness to act might be something as simple as like ushering people out through the correct exit, or their action takes many forms. It's easy on a show, Sling'N podcast, right? It's easy for it to be, well, your willingness to act must be to, take 3 steps, find a point of rest or balance, and start breaking shots off. That's not
find a strategic, advantageous position and control control the situation with dominating firepower. Right?
Yeah. And then Lee and I on the exact same page. He missed me saying this earlier, but we'll clarify it. He states, I see this two ways. If I'm alone in one of these situations, I feel obligated to act. If I'm with my family, I believe my obligation is to get them to safety. I agree with you, sir. That's about exactly where I fall on this. And I'll even be more. I'll be more specific. If I'm with my wife, my child's mother, my children's mother, and my now surviving child, like James is the priority,
right?
And he's the priority, and he needs his mom, and his mom needs his dad, and we're all there together. My job is to get them GTFO. Now, if I'm on my way out of such a scenario and an opportunity arises for me to be of good to others in the process, sure, that opportunity might be, there's a mom with 3 kids, and I say, I got you, ma'am. And my wife's got my son over her shoulder, and I grab one of hers, and we start that's an opportunity to be of help. Or the opportunity to be of help is all of a sudden on your way out of the nonsense. Oh, look, there's an asshole hurting people. I might be able to put an end to this now. Like that's also something I'm willing to put myself out for.
Mm-hmm.
Then again, if I'm out and about, if I'm working, if I'm doing my own thing, for professionally, or if I'm traveling for training, or for whatever reason, I find myself in this scenario, and I know full well that my wife and kids are home or otherwise safe somewhere. I don't think I can live with myself and turning tail and running away from this. Now, that doesn't mean that you draw your gun and go running to the sound of gunfire while screaming to all the civilians, "Don't worry, I'm with the government. I'm here to help." But it means, like, hey, you might really want to stay and be a resource and try to do some good. Lee would be in a better position to talk about what law enforcement would like to see an active participant civilian do to be of help. I have a feeling it would give something like this: if you have a shot and it's a possibility that you can stop this now, take it. I don't think the cops need 30 dudes with pistols running around in circles.
Yeah, I think that requires some additional context, though, right? I will say this, and this is probably what bothered me the most, tactically and situationally speaking, right? From at least with the law enforcement perspective for the Uvalde thing. What bothered me the most is that the national average emergency services response time is anywhere between 17 and 21 minutes, depending on which statistic you're going off of, right? There's a couple of different metrics out there, but they range generally between, let's call it 15 and 25 minutes, right? You got a window there. So at best, 15 minutes. Those guys were there within 4?
It was pretty quick.
The kid, dipshit, might as well run in and try to shoot up a police station.
Right.
With the speed in which there was law enforcement presence on the ground and on the scene involved, right? That cowboy dude was going down the hallway within so they were there within 4 or 5. Dude was going down the hallway by minute 7.
Yeah.
Most guys are still lacing up their boots and realizing there's a report on their computer, right? Holy shit, that's incredible, right? So let's take that into consideration, that the opportunity for that window of opportunity for the 30 dudes running around, a la the Texas church, where everybody and their damn brother pulled a gun out,
right?
That would have been a tactical nightmare,
right?
That would have been a tactical nightmare for cops to go in on that situation. There's a dude with a gun. I just walked in the room. There's 30 of them. Who's the bad guy, right? It's something to consider for sure.
Sure.
I would argue, though, and let's use the Uvalde thing, right? Pops off in the mall. The cops are on scene already. Where can I help? Where do you need me? What do you need?
Yeah.
Do you need intel? Do you need help getting people out the door? What do you need me to do?
Yeah. In my experience, in the few times that I've like, let's be clear. The few times that I've assisted law enforcement have been like accident scenes and things of that nature. But generally speaking, when you look at a fellow man, you speak with some authority, you look him in the eye and you say, how can I help you? That person's pretty likely to either tell you to fuck off or give you something to do. I would advise that if you're told to fuck off, you're best fuck off. You know, if Chief Deputy Weems over there points at you and says, hey, dude, get the fuck out of this mall with the rest of these people and grab as many on your way out as you can. Roger that. Like,
yep.
That's cool. Your need for heroism should not surpass common sense.
Right.
So,
and let's also be clear too, right? I think that the preponderance, dare I say, the vast and overwhelming majority of cops would not be standing there with their dick in their hand for 53 minutes while people were being slaughtered. Most of them that are going to tell you to get the fuck out of here are there. I go knife handing again. You see that? It's already coming back to me.
mm-hmm.
But the people the cops that are going to tell you to do that, like, no, you need to get the hell out of here. Shit's going to go down and they're going to help start the fire. Right? Like they're going to be involved. They're going to be doing stuff. Right? I get it. So we have to remember that despite how passionate Kent and I are about this subject, we can't let the failure of 376 in a small town in Texas reflect on all the other guys and all the other badge wearers that answered the call and step up when challenged. Right.
Yeah. Sure. So Dan's on. There's a fuck ton of cops that are absolute pussies. Absolutely, there's a fuck ton of every profession. Like, this shouldn't even need said anymore, but it does need said. So we'll say it. Every profession has its failure points and bad apples and bad examples and men and women who shouldn't be there and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I mean, my layout, my understanding looks something like this, right? If I'm in the middle of the place, wherever the place is, and the thing happens, and I have an option to like, hey, I don't have my family, I don't have the people with me. It's all on me and nobody else. And I look around and I see no response moving in the direction of stopping this. I'm pretty likely to move in that direction. If I all of a sudden see, groups of law enforcement moving towards it and it's very clear that they have a clear direction and plan and they're working out a solution, I'm pretty likely to fuck my way out of there and grab as many people as I can on my way. If I'm, oh my God, if I'm in the movie theater or the restaurant or the shopping mall or the store and whatever, and within my line of sight is an active killing taking place or about to take place, it's time to do the shit we train for.
Yep.
Right. And that's not like, I'm not just sitting here thinking of that right this minute. That's like, if you're not preeminently deciding this stuff and working it through in your own mind, how are you going to handle it? It would be equally as bad to every time you hear gunfire in public, draw your gun, put it in temple index and fucking sprint that way. Because Dan Brady's going to shoot you on your way past him because he's going to be wondering who the fuck you are.
Right.
And you're in the middle of an active killing holding a gun.
Yep.
You can yell blue, blue, blue all you want to while Dan Brady's shooting you, I guess. Like, and who could blame the poor guys, right? They're having to target discriminate and they got you to deal with that yet. I don't see that as being a benefit either. So it's a fine line.
It is. And it's a scary situation, but the whole element, like, we're talking about the potential loss of life here, right? It's supposed to be a fucking scary situation.
Yeah.
And shame to the individuals who carry every day and haven't gone through the mental exercise of determining where their left and right limits are.
Yeah.
And even if I disagree with your left and right limits, even if I say, honey, take the kid, get out of here. I've got to go save lives. I'm going to go be the hero today. I'll probably die, but I'm going to go be the hero today. Then so be it. At least you've come to that conclusion and that decision.
Right.
The vast majority of us, sadly, in the Second Amendment community, haven't even bothered to consider that the consequences of the situation at large. As a matter of fact, I think that would be an interesting exercise, Kent. I with your instruction, or honestly, to all of our firearms instructor brethren and sisters, the female version of brethren, whatever that would be in the past tense.
I don't know.
I would be curious to do kind of a survey, right?
I'm doing it on the chat right now.
Yeah, but like ask that question.
Yeah.
You came to my class to learn how to better handle this firearm. Hopefully, it empowered you to carry it every day. But here's my question. What would it take for you to draw that pistol and go to work?
That sounds an awful lot like high propensity responder and consequences. I have that conversation deeply with students, right?
And I think the answers that I would be interested in are the ones that haven't actually, the ones that look at you with the frozen fish face look.
Confirmed bias, but many of the people training with me are the types that have initiated to the point where they've already made those thoughts. I will tell you, or they've already given consideration to those thoughts. I will tell you, however, that in my earlier onset beginner level courses, and in I'm familiar, Dan. It's part of the Apache ADC too. But in my beginner level courses and in a ton of private lessons, almost every private lesson package I teach involves this conversation at some point. I had a couple on the range this morning speaking about, nice and bright and ugly in the morning on a weekday. Speaking about how they'll handle a potential home invasion. Like many, they come to us after the fact. They had a close call incident scare kind of thing, and now they're all ginned up, and they're in their 60s, and they never thought they'd have to deal with this. And the conversation we had this morning centered around many of these very similar topics. What would you do? How would you react? What do you think your response should be? And I'm looking at an adult couple, man and wife, in their 60s, successful business owners, smart people, religious people, quality members of their church, quality members of their community, good parents, good friends, good neighbors. You're looking at a man half their age damn near going, man, I never thought of that. It's rough. It's not like we don't enjoy our place in this community as being the bearers of bad news all the time, but I hate to tell you this, if you haven't thought it by now, I'm going to start thinking it. That's tonight's message. Tonight's message in a nutshell is not which tourniquet's the best one to carry to the mall to buy sunglasses. Tonight's message is if you haven't thought about the fact that you might need a tourniquet to carry to the mall to get them sunglasses, you're fucked up. That's all. From an organizational standpoint, like if you're the guy,
I'm glad we're pivoting to this because just as a point of reference, it was brought up by Rod. Yep. What about those of us in a non-permissive environment, right?
Yeah. Well, from an organizational standpoint, so I know what Rod does for a living. We're not going to out him here. But if you run a large organization that allows the public in, I personally believe you have some hey, let's have some level of responsibility towards you've allowed the public into your establishment. It's now on you to facilitate a certain level of their safety and well-being. So if you're going to stop a guy like Rod from having his tourniquets and having his equipment on him, that you're going to stop him from carrying a gun, that's pretty poor in and of itself. Now you're gonna get on a guy for trying to carry a tourniquet, trying to carry a med kit, You're going to get on a teacher for having a med kit in their classroom that's not officially, school board approved or whatever. Like, you have to allow people the opportunity to do some good in these environments. I was just in a secure facility the other day that, let me in, right? And they've got active shooter posters every freaking other freaking corner in their hallways. There are all these active shooter posters. Meanwhile, I'm walking around with a young security guard who has no tools on him but a radio, and who, just because I said who I was, like, hey, I'm from so-and-so, I'm so-and-so from such and such. And he goes, yeah, sure, no problem. Beep boops the door open, just lets me up in that place like nothing. I didn't see the vehicle I rolled in. Didn't see any, I'm wearing a little stupid, badge. Okay. Like, you can't fake one of them up. You just let me walk right all through that place.
Mm-hmm.
So from the perspective of an organization that is concerned about these sorts of things, I think my number one message to you folks would be empower your own people, not just your security people, but empower your management and your HR and your all these folks. If you're some sort of position in that facility, you should have every right to have your tools with you to take care of you.
Right.
And there should be a top-down plan from that organization that is based in reality, not based in this fucking, hey, everybody, run, hide, fight. And then now we're seeing the social media of the dudes with blue rifles and mats. And, you got the guy on the dude's back, palm striking him like an angry kitty cat and all this, silly banana pants shit. Like, bring in actual subject matter experts. Shout out Phil Groff. Somebody had Phil Groff up here. They're talking like, oh, I feel for cigars. Oh, I feel for dinner. I mean, we're playing and being silly, but Phil Groff has helped out school districts and stuff like that, and dabbled in that business before. And there's other Ed Monk in the training community is well known for having put together programs on this. There's guys out there that do consulting work and do a lot of good work helping organizations. TJ spends time in his profession doing physical security assessments and organizations figuring out, how to push some level of security. Dan was politely, with respect to you, Dan Brady says you guys are living in a dream world. Corporate doesn't care. No, corporate doesn't care. Let's take facilities and organizations and define them. I'll name some. Walmart doesn't care. Target doesn't care. CVS pharmacies don't care. Many of these people in places in the corporate for-profit world don't care to a degree. I truly believe that some hospital administrators probably do care. I truly know for a fact that a lot of nursing home administrators care. I know that a lot of school teachers care. I know that some people in some of those positions do truly care. And I'm sure, hey, come at me, bro. The director of Walmart security hit me up. Like, my signature drill used to be welcome to Walmart. Now it's consequences, but we still do them both. Like, let's talk about it. I suppose you could sue me if you wanted to. They have this tendency to believe that this is happening to the other. It's somewhere else. It's off-site. It's, the problem is the facility itself is being managed and run by people who aren't sitting in it, right?
Right.
The director of operations for XYZ institution in Southern Pennsylvania probably isn't in any office. He's probably still at his house because, quote unquote, COVID. We're all going to work from home for the rest of our lives because of COVID.
Right.
But these people aren't even physically in the buildings that they're in charge of the security of. They have no stake in the game. Meanwhile, there's Rod looking around going, I care about that guy and that guy and that girl and that guy, and I know that dude, and we hang out together, and it's my friends, and I want to make sure they don't get hurt, and I have the tools, etc.
I think part of it too. So just kind of speaking from a physical security perspective, in dealing with organizations, right? Dealing with corporations, and you're absolutely right. Hire like the people, the CEO of Walmart don't give a shit, right? The CFO, the people that have never set foot in a fucking Walmart,
right?
They run the goddamn place, don't give a shit, right? However, the store manager, the assistant manager, the lowly clerk at the cashier's office, right? The dude counting the money in the back room at the end of the night when all the tills are emptied, right? They care.
Yep.
So think facility organization, at least to the limiting factor that it is that facility, that unit of the overall organization. Let's just say in a very dark, twisted parallel universe, the school district in Uvalde didn't care what happened. I guarantee you, if you were to walk up to the principal and have a heart-to-heart conversation with him or her and say, this could happen, what do we do if, you would be starting, you'd probably get a lot further having that kind of like, look, we need to come up with a plan on our own. If no one else is going to care, we need to come to a consensus that we are going to allow and permit X, Y, Z, right? I'm going to have a med kit that can treat 5 casualties in my classroom.
Yeah.
Where does it say that I can't? And even if it does, why?
Yeah.
Like, challenge those individual policies. But from my perspective, I would say even empowering the lowest, arguably lowest member on the totem pole to enforce sound security practices pays dividends. And let me explain why. Aside from doing the physical security aspect, even from a general cybersecurity aspect, right? So for those that don't know, I was an ethical hacker for many years. Now I run a team of ethical hackers. We did a thing called social engineering, right? This is where you maybe make a phone call, pretend to be a user and have them reset your password. Maybe you're sending them an email, whatever have you. But let's take the tech side out of it. Let's just focus on the human interface of it, the exchange of thoughts, feelings, and emotions between two warm human bodies, right? When I call a client pretending to be a user, and this user might have a semblance of authority thanks to social media research, although not a decision maker. So we're not talking to board of directors. I'm not calling and saying I'm their boss. I'm not calling to say I own this facility, this hospital, this school, this hotel, nothing like that. But hey, I'm an important businessman. I'm in charge of stuff. I have responsibilities. You will do X, Y, and Z. You will do what I tell you. Those people on the other end of that line don't typically challenge too much because they're afraid of repercussions because they pissed off so-and-so, right? Empower the lowest member of the totem pole to challenge whoever in the interest of security. Kent comes to my facility, wants to walk around. Hey, sir, let me see some identification and what's your business here? He can get huffy all he wants because I know in the background, if my boss comes up to me and says, hey, why are you giving Ken a hard time? I know this guy. He's fine. I understand that, sir, but I don't know him, and I was following the appropriate procedure to identify and understand his reasoning for being here. Okay, You know what? Great job, TJ. Appreciate you. Kent, all good? Yeah, man, all good. Cool, man. Hey, thanks for your diligence. You can go back to work now, right?
Yep.
The amount of success that I have had by exploiting that hierarchy or that semblance of a hierarchy of command structure has gotten me very far as a threat actor.
Yeah.
It's gotten me very far to the point where I've walked through a facility, no badge, no nothing, backpack on, wires and antennas sticking out of it to the high heavens, laptop strapped to my chest, walking through this facility. Somebody asked me, hey, sir, who are you and what's your business here? I'm with the IT department. I'm doing work on your wireless network. Okay. No ask to see identification. No, hey, let me call your supervisor. This is uncommon, right? None of it because they're afraid to rock the apple cart because they don't want to get attacked. They're already worried about pissing me off, right? We don't like confrontation, but now they got to worry about pissing their boss off because I rocked the boat a little bit by doing the right thing,
I see it. I see it every day. I'll spare the details, but I walk through all sorts of places.
Mm-hmm.
Every place that matters to you, I'm there somewhere in the background doing some things professionally. And it amazes me how little I get talked to.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm a goofy looking dude. Like you said, I could have carrying a backpack around with me. I could have freaking God knows what on me.
Right.
And, screw guns. I could have bombs and shit. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
And
yeah, the computer strapped to my chest and the wires and antennas sticking out could have easily been a radio-controlled IED, right? Yep. You don't know. It's an opaque backpack. You don't know what the hell it is. But it's something you don't see every day, right?
Yeah. Well, the unfortunate truth about that is quite frankly, most of the people on planet Earth that I pass are doing this. Looks down at cell phone, stuffs around with thumbs, right? Like, people pay no attention. You can walk in anywhere. I'll tell you this. If you have a tool bag, a ladder, or a laptop, if you're carrying one of those things, you can walk in and out of any facility in this country, minus maybe a prison. And even some of that. I'm telling you, there's not a college, a university, a hospital, a school, a nursing home that I cannot physically find my way into in about 5 minutes tops.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean into a middle ground holding area necessarily. I mean all the way up in that sumbitch in some cases.
Right.
It's always amazing to me.
Well, and it amazes me too, is if you post the wrong thing on Facebook, people jump all over you. I walk up to you, look you in the eye, and tell you the exact same content, and you don't bat an eyelash.
Mm-hmm.
You don't flinch. You don't look aghast. You're not verklempt.
Verklempt?
None of it. Yeah,
that's a good one.
Yeah, one of my coworkers shared a coffee talk meme today while we were chatting. I thought it was appropriate.
Why are you so nonplussed?
Right?
I'm surprised you know what nonplussed means. Yeah, the other drink too is, God forbid, if you have a name. Like, if you know the name of one person in that building.
Mm-hmm.
P.S. It could be the person that they're there. Somebody walks up to you and says, "Oh, hi, I'm here to see TJ Ramsey." And if you've worked there 2 years and nobody's ever walked up to you and said, "Hi, I'm here to see TJ Ramsey," that's fucking weird. Don't let them in.
Right.
Right? They could be there to kill TJ Ramsey.
Honestly, even if they are, knowing some of the people that I have crossed in my life, ask them why the hell they're there if they ever come to ask and find me. Okay?
Right. But seriously, imagine, I did this the other day. I went to a college. I had one name. That's all I had. I walked up and I said, "Hi, I'm here to see Marty McFly." "Oh, yeah." This dude looks me in the face. Security guy goes, "Oh, yeah. His office is the third one on the right down XYZ hallway. You may take you to him?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Oh, wait, well, I got to stay here at my post. We can't have anybody getting in this place. Third hallway on the right. The code to the locked door down there is what." Dude's giving me door codes and direct.
I've had that happen to me before, too.
This guy looks at me, so I get to Marty McFly's office, rap. "Hey, Mr. McFly, I'm Kent with so-and-so doing such and such." And he goes, "How the hell did you get in here?" I'm like, "Fella gave me the door code and told me which office was yours." And he's like, "Really?" Like, "Yeah, man. Feeling pretty secure now, ain't you?"
Mm-hmm.
So, from a facility management perspective, I think the biggest takeaway is everybody in the facility is in charge of security, not just your security.
Exactly.
Many of the security in these places are subcontractors. They're making $14 an hour. No offense to our private security friends, but a lot of them couldn't get jobs at Walmart, so now they're Walmart security. Like, hey, Do you want to subcontract your safety to some dude making $14 an hour? I damn sure don't. I don't feel good about it. So you see something, say something. Now, look at this person walking around and say, who is that? You cannot have your people subverting physical security measures. You know, the teacher who propped the door with the rock, right? They made such a big thing out of that. And then it turns out she still shut the door, but now, you know, the door may not have ever worked in the first place. I cannot tell you how many propped open doors I come across.
Well, it's not even just that. So let's take the propped up door away from it. But let's take the malfunctioning lock and focus on that, right? Whose job is it to make sure that all the locks are functioning as expected in a facility? Yours.
Facilities maintenance generally, yeah.
Yours. Now, ain't no facilities maintenance. We're not waiting for Joe Bob, the custodian, to come around once he gets done mopping up the vomit in the cafeteria. No, hey, I'm walking by this door. It should be locked. Oh, my God, it pulls open. Hey, we need to fix this.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah. Yeah, I see what you mean.
Right? And from what I understand, people were reporting that door was malfunctioning. So it is a shame on the organization in this case, at least for Uvalde. But these are the conversations that we need to be empowered to have. Hey, when I tell you to fix a damn door because the lock ain't working, that takes priority number one. Short of life, limb, eyesight, or well-being of anybody else in this facility, a security measure should be number one, period. If the fire alarm's batteries were dead, they'd be changing those out pretty quick, wouldn't they?
Yeah, well, that's interesting because nobody's burned to death in a fire in the last 50 years. Not nobody's burned to death. Nobody's burned to death in a school or, big public fire like that. Like,
no one's been trapped in a facility that houses a lot of people.
Right.
Right. There have been individual house fires and shit. Probably somebody fell asleep, passed out drunk with a lit cigarette or some sort of freak electrical fire or whatever have you. But those were generally freak accidents. But like people getting trapped in a mall or a school or whatever. Let's rephrase. I think this sums it up perfectly, Kent. No one's burned to death in a fire in a facility that actually has fucking fire drills.
Right. Yeah. So that brings up the active shooter drills and all that stuff, and they need to be. I don't know where they find these people, quite honestly. Like, they go to some karate McDojo and they find, Sensei kick in the face, and they bring Sensei kick in the face down, and they're like, "All right, Sensei, teach us an active shooter drill." And he's like, "Just do the move, bro." "What move, Sensei?" "Ah, just do the move. Ready?" "What the?" And he goes all Sensei on him, and you're like, "Well, okay, Sensei, but Peggy from accounting, whose ankles meet her calves and meet her thighs, and they're all the same size, is not going to be ninja kicking nobody in the face. Like, come on, bruh. What are we teaching these people? We're not teaching them things of relevance." Sorry, Peggy from accounting. But
no, but that begs a question, Kent, right? Just in the topic of preparation. As the resident firearms instructor, right? You get brought in, school, hospital, whatever. They bring you in and say, "Hey, Sensei Kent, come teach us the move."
Sure.
What's the first move you're going over with them? You got a group of teachers, nurses, whatever.
Firstly, I ain't doing it. I'm polite. I'm presently in that position, and I'm professionally referring that business to other people who are in a better position to go over some of that stuff.
Okay, but
predominantly because they have connections to local law enforcement in the area who know how the responses are going to go. But anyway, if I had to do it, if I super duper absolutely 100% had to do it, it would be discussing predominantly controlling your very small sector of this building, whatever that might be, your classroom, your office, your floor, perhaps your wing, right? And I would want to dominate that little space by barricading it, by still having my own point of egress if I could.
And a plan to use it.
Right. And I damn sure want physical control of my environment to the point where there's we talk about points of domination. There's a place in most buildings and most physical structures where you can get and you can implement tools against others in a very timely fashion where it's hard for them to implement them against you. The deep side of a corner, stuff like that, to where, hey, Mr. Teacher, I understand that you're not going to be armed with my Walther steel frame and 35 rounds of 9mm, but you do have this here fire extinguisher, and if you stand right here, you can thwap this son of a bitch in the skull on his way through the door, or use the fire extinguisher to shoot CO2 in the face.
Yeah, wasn't it Clint Smith that had the video of spraying with the foam and hit him with the red thing?
Yeah, exactly. So that's a good.
Or no, it was spraying with the white stuff and hit him with the red thing, something like that.
Yeah. So, there's that. There's the hey, like, your job above all else is to remain calm and be a good leader to the people in your surroundings. The medical piece is huge, and the medical piece, we're selling this wrong. We go to these places and we talk to them about, well, if some lunatic comes in and shoots the place up, you need medical. And it's like, bitch, you need medical because your buddy Larry fell down the stairs.
Right.
You just need medical. Medical is the thing that needs to be in all these facilities. I mean, how many teachers have saved kids' lives of knowing how to do CPR and knowing how to do the Heimlich? And my wife saved a coworker's life at a bank a couple of years ago, knowing how to do the damn Heimlich.
Yeah.
Shit.
Before I started babysitting my kid brother, I wasn't allowed to do any of that. I was 12, 13 years old when I started babysitting my kid brother. This is before, you keep in mind, I was a latchkey kid. My parents were totally cool with me coming home completely alone by myself.
Right.
But when it came to, me being at home alone with my kid brother, they made me go through a course that taught, it was a babysitting course. It was put on by I think it was the YMCA that put it on. But they went over the Heimlich maneuver. They went over CPR on multiple different ages, from infants all the way to young adolescents. Because yes, there's a hugely different process between the build and type of person that you're doing this on, right? How do you do it on an obese person? There's a difference, different technique. But yeah, I had to go through all that shit at 12, right? Why the hell are there adults that don't know how to do the Heimlich maneuver?
I don't know. Trey, this episode's t-shirt is the Stand with Cam t-shirt. All proceeds are going to our dear friend Cameron Hayes, who lost his leg in a terrible motorcycle accident, part of his finger. I got to say, TJ really outdid himself. He, what was my joke earlier? He leaned on the expertise of others, and he stood up for greatness, and he put his best foot forward. And goddamn, all the other guy lost the leg puns. But bottom line, Trey, go buy that shirt because we're donating all the money to Cam, so he doesn't spend the rest of his life in hospital medical debt. So that's that deal. Yeah, like there's some basic, simple, common sense things that you can show people that don't have to involve anything crazy. God forbid you get 6-8 armed professionals to do your security. That'd be wonderful. But if you could get, hey, this company or this organization is not going to prohibit its employees or participants or whatever from being armed here. But if you're going to be armed here, we have to have you squared away. So, we don't turbo murder each other in the process of trying to be helpful.
Yeah.
Then it falls right in with my core curriculum. It's the whole kit and caboodle.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. So we started talking about loadout. I don't want to belabor the point too much, but have the recent situations with respect to medical brought you into a point of consideration that you may want to modify what you carry for medical, and that is maybe making sure that you have enough for one more person? Because let's be real, like you and me both, wife, kids, right? Ideally, we should have enough to treat every person in our immediate family group. Right?
Yeah.
But we're talking about, you made the point earlier, like, hey, if I'm trying to unass the area and there's a lady over there panicking, freaking out, or a dude over there panicking, freaking out, and he's got his kid with him, right? Hey, follow me. Snap him out of it. Grab the kid, grab the dude or the dudette, and run. Right? Help save other lives. Are you taking that further forward into your considerations for medical? Was like, okay, I've got my immediate circle taken care of. Am I maybe putting in one more set to help one more person?
I mean, I'd love to. At this point, I can't conceal anything else on my person.
Well, maybe not even on your person, but maybe in your vehicle.
Oh, the vehicle start. I mean, GMD Central is the pickup truck. I could treat Uvalde out of that pickup truck.
Okay, fair.
Right? So my vehicle is that vehicle already just because it teaches gun classes for a living. Dude, Soap's walking around with a med kit in the baby bag. She's got a med kit in her purse. She's got a med kit in her Jeep. All right, I got my mom carrying medical. I would love it. I guess what I'll do, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll train Grizzly the dog to carry a backpack full of tourniquets and Glock mags. Then he'll be my service Sherpa dog, and he'll just come with us.
All I'm seeing is the vet bills you're going to get from breaking that dog's back with all the damn Glock mags you have.
Well, this is true. Right.
Like, I got 5 pounds of medical and 800 pounds of Glock magazines. And that's only half of it.
Yeah, there's that.
Poor Grizzly.
But yeah, I mean, I would love to. This speaks to something else that I'm pretty passionate about, which is facilities having on hand the tools and resources necessary, right? Like, I'll use as many as you give me. So if in the center of the mall there's an AED and a big trauma med box and it's not locked up, like, so the security people are the only people who can get it or whatever, if I can really reach my hands in there and grab tools and go to work with them, I'll do that. Mm-hmm. Sure, I will. But I unless I have my, and you know what, quite truthfully, if I have my laptop bag, there's a med kit in that thing too. Anything with straps that can hang onto my body at this point has a med kit in it. I mean, I'm going pretty far down that rabbit hole. Now, I will say this: the average concealed carry civilian still isn't carrying medical, and if they are, they've got like a Filster flat pack and a tourniquet, and that's it. I'd love to see us, move up to something like this thing. We've shown this on the show before, but this is what lives on my ankle every day. You've got a tourniquet, you've got compressed gauze, you got chest seals, you've got a decomp needle. No, I don't recommend you carry those, but I do. Get off me. It's my life. I'll do what I want. I've got gloves and I've got an MPA, right? Nasal pharyngeal airway. That's a pretty aggressive kit for a dude to walk around and wear every day as it is. I've about worn that thing out. It's time for me to get a new one of those pouches, honestly.
I've actually even been reconsidering going back to, like, not so much the fanny pack, but that size and style of bag.
Right.
Like, cross-sling bags are becoming quite prevalent nowadays.
Especially on the beach in Delaware during bear weekend.
It'll match my pink mesh shirt perfectly. But one of the things that I often find, and I'll tell on myself a little bit here. I keep med kits in my vehicle. I keep med kits in my backpack, right? But I very rarely, when I'm out and about, have it. I don't have an ankle medical kit. If I'm out and about, I'm typically wearing shorts, and that shit don't float with me. It just feels and looks awkward. I hate having shit around my ankles. But that's not an excuse to not carry it. If that means having a man purse, okay, then I've got a man purse. Make fun of me when I'm stopping the bleed on you, asshole. Right? So that's just kind of my perspective on it. But yeah, I've been actively seeking out an appropriate type and style of bag that would work well and be conducive for that functionality. Kent, I love when you go on mute and turn your camera off, because it's still my face when you go on mute and turn your camera off. And for those playing the home game, Kent has turned his camera off and muted his microphone. He has clearly stepped away to handle something real quick. But I'm curious what you guys think, right? What has all these recent situations done to fuel the conversation, even if it's an internal conversation, right?
Sorry,
What question?
MacBook decided to do an update.
Oh, okay. What questions and conversations have you started having with your own family?
Yeah.
What questions and conversations do you want to have with us, right? Just as a reminder, folks, you can reach us on slingandleadpodcast@gmail.com. You can hit us up on Facebook. You can even comment here on the channel, right? I'm curious how this has taken you further down your journey for being a responsible self-defender.
I'll tell you something that's heartening. And I was, by the way, I was hearing what you were saying. I was just stopping my software from shutting my whole system down.
I'm just glad you do updates. I was going to flex the cybersecurity nerd. I'm glad you do updates.
Right, but it decides to do them when it wants, and then it's like, bitch, I'm gonna update. Like, whoa. Anyway, you talking about carrying an ankle med kit and stuff like that. Like, again, I think it's our responsibility to acknowledge who we are in this conversation. And I'm a bit of an extremist, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a bad thing necessarily. I think the thing that we have an opportunity to be is we have an opportunity to be a conduit to others who, may or may not fall somewhere within that category where eventually somebody you love, somebody you care about, somebody you're friends with, somebody you trust might hit you up and say, hey, you know what? Jesus, if you can wrap that stupid ankle med kit around your ankle, and if you can carry a gun and you can carry a flashlight, you can carry pepper spray, and you can, fill your truck with all the woes of the world, I think I could probably, he's got some palm pepper spray in there. Like, I think I could probably figure out picking up a med kit to throw in my kid's diaper bag. That's an easy one, right? Like, there are some opportunities that we've all not taken that could have been easily taken. And I think it's our responsibility to be able to reach out to the people in our surroundings and just be like, hey, let's be reasonable here. Perfect example, me at the gun club, right? My friends at the gun club, I'm like, hey, why don't we have an AED and a nice med kit in this building? Hey, why don't, finally, another dude showed up and he started saying it. Him and I spearheaded it together. We got a bunch of the organizations in the club to donate, including myself. And I was a damn really squared away med kit and an AED on the indoor range in the clubhouse. I'd prefer there be one every 11 feet at that place, but it's a nice, good start, And now it's a point of conversation, and now everybody else in the room is like, that is a good idea. Well, yeah, hell yeah. When I got involved in the practical shooting stuff there, the IDPA and so forth, and these guys have these range boxes with the timers and the pasters and the scores and all the stuff, and I'm like, guys, we're walking around with these range boxes anyway. Why can't we throw a med kit in there? I reached out to Kerry Davis from Dark Angel Medical, got a quote for freaking 12 med kits and bought 14. Put them in there. This stuff, unfortunately, this stuff is not super accessible. It's not super cheap. These med kits, a decent walking around civilian med kit is every bit of $150.
If not closer to $2, because I was pricing them today.
Sure. We're fortunate that we have industry insides and we can buy stuff in bulk. And, I'm a dealer now for a couple of these things. But, still, you hand somebody you love a med kit, you're spending a $200 little bill on something that I can't imagine what I could say to you more than I love you enough to want you to be around and want you to have the tools to take care of yourself. Here's something for you.
Mm-hmm.
Let alone if you're going to be in proximity of my kids, or let alone if you're going to be in proximity of other people's kids. I got a local school teacher who I don't know if he's listening or not. If he does, I'm gonna ruin my surprise. But his front door is going to get a package coming to his house. I hope to hell he stuffs that shit in his bag that he carries in and out of that school every day.
Yep.
So we have the opportunity to be a good example. We have the opportunity to be a realistic conduit to bring people further along the path. Any better step is a good one for them,
Valid statement.
What else you got? I get the feeling you really want an excuse to put rifle plates and armor and nods and a rifle in a baby stroller and walk around with it.
Honestly, no. Like, I've thought about it.
He's not kidding, folks. When he says he's thought about it. That wasn't a punchline.
Well, no, I mean, you revisit, and we've had these discussions before, right? We've contemplated, we've discussed. I mean, honestly, I'm not opposed to keeping a rifle in my vehicle, right? Yep. You know, if you're going to prepare for the worst day ever, prepare for the fucking worst day ever. It's a simple discussion, right? And it's not about saying that you would need it. Hell, I might not need that extra magazine for my pistol that I'm carrying.
Yep.
Right? But damn it, I carry one. So my issue currently is also ability to properly secure that thing. If we could acknowledge that while it's a nice to have, not necessarily a need to have, that implies that it will remain static in that position for quite some time, potentially outside the bounds of your control.
Yeah.
Then you need to properly secure that shit. Dude, I drive a Jeep and a pickup truck. It ain't nothing to smash a window or slash a soft top, gain access to that to that vehicle, and steal whatever the fuck I might have in there. Right?
Yep.
So while I believe that the utility in the application would be nice to have, it ain't worth the risk right now. Right?
Right.
I mean, hell, even if I wanted to carry a bunch of medical equipment, somebody looks inside those vehicles and sees a couple of bags of what they don't know but can only assume to be expensive and valuable stuff, that won't stop them from stealing it. Right? So even being able to properly secure it in the medical realm is important.
Yeah.
Right? So being able to secure all this stuff. So what that has led me to do is start looking up and researching adequate vehicle security mechanisms, lock boxes, tough boxes, lockers, things like that, where not only will it be out of sight, but it'll be inaccessible even if you smash the window.
Yeah. The Green Mountain defense truck largely stays in the garage for that reason, right? Like, that thing's a little overt.
Well, hell, I splurged and bought a fucking nice-ass Yeti cooler thanks to Kent and the influence of his wife, right? I went and bought a nice-ass cooler, a $350 fucking cooler, right? We're out on vacation. We needed the cooler. We were going camping. Damn it, I'm getting a nice cooler. Kent, we went to go get ice for that thing. I threw it in the bed of your truck. We were going to the grocery store to gas station to get beer, ice, and fill up your gas cans. What's the first thing I asked you? Hey, man, is that thing going to be okay back there?
Right.
Right?
Right.
So.
Yep. There's only so much you can do about it. You're either in the business or you're not. So once you're in the business, you're in the business. I've kind of had to let myself go on that because I don't like it. It's a practical necessity for me to keep all the gear I have to keep in that thing. And
to be fair, though, you've done a really good job at obfuscating that, right?
I have, but it ain't perfect.
No, it's not perfect. Well, I mean, keep it. Best way to secure is to not take it at all, right? And that just defeats the purpose.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, with the whole rifle, with the whole plate situation, right? The body armor, whatnot. Again, it's going to be situationally dependent. If I'm leaving the area, if I'm trying to evade, I mean, I'm obviously not going to walk around with that thing slung on my back or my chest, right? So if I'm going to evade, that means it's going to be stored in the vehicle. That means that I would have plans in anticipation of going back in.
Yep.
And take the whole rifle thing out of it, right? But just have it like if I'm going back in to get plates, or if I'm going to go to my vehicle, grab plates and go back in, that's a very specific set of circumstances that needs to be met for me to do that.
Like, all right. So,
and I would argue and I would submit that if the situation's bad enough that I need plates and like increase my armament, it's so bad that I can't leave in the first place.
So and this becomes the this is a deep, dark rabbit hole of possibilities. First of all, to be clear, I'll go in after my kids and your kids with a pen knife and a pocket light.
Exactly my point.
I don't need plates and helmets and shit to tell me it's a good idea to go get my kids out of a place. I'm gonna go.
Yeah, what I'd rather see is a ballistic shield or something of the sort, or a ballistic Kevlar blanket inside that schoolhouse that gets mounted up behind the door after it gets barricaded.
Yep.
So that the dude can't send rounds through the window and hit somebody.
Yeah.
Right?
But I guess so when I hear guys talk about, because guys want to talk, so this truck gun, truck armor, truck fighting. So okay, so I get it. So you're a team guy, you're a cop, you're part of your duty is to go places you don't want to go and do things you don't necessarily want to do. I get it. You got to have your work gear with you. So now you need a truck gun. Now you need plates. Now you need the helmet.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I got you. So imagine a scenario where, I don't know, Soph and James have said, "Oh, Daddy, we're gonna go down to Build-A-Bear," and Daddy's like, "All right, well, fuck all that Build-A-Bear noise. I'm gonna go over to Sportsman's because I don't have time for this." By the way, spend time with your wife and kids. Don't walk away from them. Go.
To be fair, Build-A-Bear is a perfect wild card situation where you'd be like, "Sorry, kids, can't do it."
Right. But you get what I'm saying. Like, so you're separated from them in public, and now on your way to them, it becomes obvious that there's an active killer situation in that mall, and you're gonna ask God, you don't think I'm getting a Build-A-Bear? Like, you don't have enough cops in the county to keep me from Build-A-Bear. I'm gonna attempt to establish comms, and hopefully, like, she gives me we're good signal, and they're 15 miles away from the mess. But if they're not, hey, I'm going to Build-A-Bear. Great. So do you pull up in your truck, throw your plates and your rifle and your belt and all your shit on, and put on your helmet and, don the bat signal and da 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 da, and you go running into Build-A-Bear? Is that what you're actually gonna do? So I'm going to tell you what I'm actually going to do. I'm going to be 2/3 of the way through my Fat Man wind sprint on the way into Build-A-Bear, realizing, fuck, I didn't grab any of that crap in the first place.
Yeah, and that's kind of my perspective too, right? So let's consider the alternative, right? Like clearing your house. You hear that bump in the night, and the wife says, "Hey, honey, go check it out." Who needs men anyway? Fucking misogynists.
Right.
Go check out that bump in the night. You can't buy yourself enough time. So take the time you have. If that means putting on ear pro before you grab your rifle, right? Making sure your light works. Telling your wife to dial 911 before you go, leveraging the element of darkness and surprise to work through your house and figure out what that bump was. Fine. When we're dealing with an active killer situation, I'm not taking time to put that shit on.
Right.
If I've already got it on, great. But I'm not taking the time to put that stuff on. It's not happening. Now, we can talk a little bit about the truck gun stuff, because let's visit a scenario as to why I've actively and carefully thought about and considered keeping a vehicle in my truck, or keeping a gun in my truck. Excuse me, keeping a vehicle. In my truck.
I was letting you get there. I knew
you knew where I was going with this.
I got you.
Bear with me. It's a long train ride, but we'll get there eventually. Is more for widespread civil unrest in a mass population area.
Now I'm with you.
Right?
Yep.
I need to get from my office in Nashville to my home, and there's about 400,000 people who are pissed the fuck off in between there and here.
Yeah.
I'm taking a second. I'm putting on that plate carrier. I'm dropping my sidearm into a outside the waistband holster.
Yep.
And my rifle is going to be in the seat next to me. Because fun fact for all the gun truck nuts out there, you can drive or you can fight. You can't do both.
Sig Sauer Academy 2017. I would beg to differ. I shot all them plates. I got all them plates out the window.
while driving at 60 miles an hour?
4 miles an hour. Yeah. Right. I was being silly. Yeah, dude. Your priority is to either be the TC or not.
Because look, I'll even challenge everybody. I dare you. Put up a few steel targets next time you go to a multi-gun match and you've got your AR-15 with you. Run that stage in the back of a golf cart.
Yeah, we're doing it. That's coming up at West.
Tell me what your hit factor is, bruh.
Yeah.
I can promise you it ain't going to be much.
Yeah, it's ugly.
Right? So Iraq circa 2003 and 2004, riding around as the driver, by the way, driving around in a Humvee with no doors and a machine gunner in the bed of the truck. I had an M16 with a 203 grenade launcher on it. That thing was when we were out and about, it was clipped to a single point sling on my shoulder, and it was draped across my lap, hanging out the fucking door. Not let alone that it weighs 10 fucking pounds. But I ain't shooting that. And like, suppressing fire was the name of my game. Flip that bitch to too close for missiles. I'm switching to guns. Flip that bitch to burst. Hang it over your elbow and spray and hope to keep their heads down while you unass the AO. You ain't taking a well-placed shot in that situation. Not happening. It's just not happening. But if for some reason I have to stop and make my way around or, God forbid, through a crowd of angry protesters and violent rioters, I'm not. It's staying in the seat just in case I need it. That's for quick access to unass the truck and go. Right.
Yep. That makes sense.
Otherwise, though, the sidearm works beautifully. That
became part of my COVID / Black Lives Matter / insurrection / whatever rally. From about 2019 to early 2021, I was pretty regularly rolling around with armor and a rifle and shit for that very reason. Not because I was gonna bust up in the Capital City Mall and solve a fool's problems, but because I was like, there's a reasonably good chance I get stuck on the other side of Harrisburg, and to get home to my wife and kids, I have to wade through some nefarious horse shit.
Yeah.
Fuck that. Like, I'm for sure going home, so why not have the tools?
Yeah, there is no tactical or strategic advantage. There is a ballistic advantage, but there is no tactical or strategic advantage from having a rifle inside a building. I have gone through room clearing drills and training in the military, both with sidearm and with rifle.
Yep.
Makes no tactical or strategic difference.
Unless you're in a really big facility with really long hallways.
Yeah, but I train at 40 yards for 10 rounds on target in 15 seconds. And I post it on the internet.
It's almost like the episode has come full circle.
Right? But yeah, I mean, look, and yes, that is honestly, like, I will say this, that is one of the biggest reasons for, or the biggest arguments for a rifle in the vehicle is for those long distance shots, right? Yep. I promise you, while dickhead was running into the fucking school and guy had sights on him, was requesting permission to engage, probably far enough away that a pistol wouldn't have cut it.
My pistol would have.
I'm sure it would have, with your red dot and fancy triggers and shit.
No, you're right. Like that. It's easy to talk shit. It's another thing to hit a freaking dude moving laterally at 75 yards with a handgun. That's a rough piece of work. Like,
even with a rifle, that's tough.
That's the other thing too. I had a lot of people talking to me about that. Oh, I'd have shot that guy. I'm like, well, you shot at him.
Yeah, unknown speed.
Yep.
Not trained for a moving target, by the way.
Yep.
Also unknown distance.
Yep.
Newsflash, in order to range a target with a reticle, you must know the size of the target.
Unless it's an ACSS. God bless you.
Fair.
No, but no, dude. So do you put a lead on him? Do you not put a lead on him? You know who's really good at taking that shot? Grandpa, because he's been murdering deer for 100 years. Ask that dude how to figure it out.
At full sprint with a bolt action 308.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, go find that dude. Every school needs no shit. Every one of these schools needs grandpa with a dirty 30-30 out there and a fixed power freaking Tasco. If Grandpa believes he's eating sausage tonight, your motherfucking ass is dead. It's over, Pap. Like, it's all over. That old boy will empty that 30-30.
Yep. But I think that about brings us full circle for tonight, Kent. What do you think?
I think it does. I think next weekend we're going to get somebody, or next week we're going to get somebody's grandpa on here and talk to them about shooting moving targets with 30-30.
Although I do think that this does deserve to be a multi-part episode, I'm wondering if any of our friends who have or currently participate in law enforcement activities
would be Mr. Weems to jump in.
Willing to come on the show and kind of give us the other side of the perspective, right? Hey, you guys are what I mean by that is you guys are the cops on scene. What do they expect from people like you and me?
Oh, yes. Okay. Then that, yes.
Right? These are cops or guys that have been cops or currently are cops that we trust and respect, right? I don't know about trust. That Lee Williams kind of a shady son of a bitch, if you know what I'm saying.
No,
with him and his lever guns, I don't know, man. But now, all joking aside, I feel like it would be a value add to the conversation while we're having this discussion, because let's be honest, we're really just waiting for the next one to happen to see what the fuck comes out of that.
Yeah, I think this bears more conversation, and I think the best thing we can all do as we're talking about things like these is be a solid conduit for good information, be a respectful member of the community, stop engaging in frivolous arguments with people who intend to take your guns no matter what, because all you're doing is giving the other side fire on that one. And most importantly, get out and get to work, get on the range, get in the classes, get the med shit, go to matches, read the books, do this shit. Stop listening to us talk about it on the internet. Come do it with us.
Mm-hmm.
That ain't even a sales pitch. I'm just tired of hearing dudes, John Willis over with the Gun Set Boys hit me with some shit a couple months ago about like, hey, I don't even talk to these people anymore. I'm like, what do you mean, John? He's like, no, look, you don't get to talk to me about guns unless you can show me what class you've been at in the last 90 days. If you're at a class or a match or something for real in the last 90 days, you can come talk to me at the gun store about what the latest Wonder Boxer 3000 is. Other than that, I don't want to fucking hear from you. I'm getting awful tired of people, in my tangential loose friend circle hitting me up like, oh, yeah, what do you think of the new fucking, Taurus 856 revolver? I'm like, it's a really cool gun, and I like guns, and guns are cool. But you ain't learned to shoot the last 30 you bought, so I don't know what the hell you're doing worrying about this one. Like,
yeah. I mean, that's kind of where I'm at in my journey, right? It's at this point, I'm not even thinking about what gun I should get next. It's how can I improve the ones that I have currently, and also which training class do I want to go to next, right?
Which training class do you want to go to next?
I don't know yet. I'm still deciding.
Okay.
I'm still deciding, honestly. I'm a victim of our own creation, Kent.
Yeah, you got a big old smorgasbord to
we got a whole roster of we got a A-list, B-list, C-list, all the way to fucking Z. I don't know yet. I'm torn. Honestly, though, I am wanting to brush up on my rifle a little bit more. Getting my reloading stuff squared away. Kent and I were talking about that before the live show. Check your reloading dice, folks. They keep having the same problem. Might just because they're older than dirt.
Yeah.
No, I want to get out and do some work, right? Honestly, a large part of it too is, and what's going to be the deciding factor is because you've effectively got me off the bench. As I'm piecing together the POI, I'm trying to consider, all right, where am I the weakest at? Right? Self-reflection, knowledge and awareness. What am I the weakest at? What do I need to work on personally before I go out and try? Like, I need to make sure, and I also need to make sure that my shit's up to date, right? It's not saying that what I have to teach or what I have to say isn't of any value, but is it current? Is it the norm, right? I haven't been in the training industry for a long time, actively, other than a participant and a consumer, for that type of material to make sure that what I'm bringing is on par still. Right? It would be a disservice for me to waste people's time and money and teach them shit that's been outdated and replaced with better, more improved things. Or maybe a little bit of confirmation bias is like, hey, look, I've seen the new way that people are doing this and I vehemently disagree, and here's why.
Yeah, well, there's that too. So in your little neck of the woods, go find Sage Dynamics, go over to Georgia, go get with John Dufresne, and probably find where Pressburg's going to be and take no fail rifle.
Yeah,
and rapier.
Yeah, I'd like to take Bill Rapier's course. I think the addition of the ECQC stuff would be fun for me.
Right, Rapier's rifle class was no joke. That was some good shit. But yeah, I think there locally to you, where you could make it not a big burden on the wife and kids. There's, just a couple hours you could go see John Dufresne or Aaron from Sage, and then you could go, dude, go take tactical responses fighting rifle.
I'd rather not.
I know. Just keep in mind that the crazies don't teach fighting rifle.
I know, but still.
Yeah, Jay Gibson, I believe, runs that. Or used to. Go find Reed Hendricks. He's super local to you.
I believe so, yeah.
Maybe, I don't know, see who's doing a rifle class at Royal Range. Yeah,
I'd be down for that too. It's definitely my backyard for sure.
Somebody's got to have something in that general. I mean, if you're up for a trip to the beach, we'll go up to Hampton, New Hampshire, and I'll happily go through all of Sig's rifle stuff again. I really enjoyed that, and
Or I could just come up there for a long weekend and we could just work shit out by the numbers.
Yup. Well, that's the easy solution. But for those of you that are still listening to this while we're basically talking shop, this is what ends up happening, right? Like, it's easy to, TJ, come to defensive rifle metrics so I can show you what I'm already teaching and you can tell me how awesome I am. That really does nobody any good. I know I'm awesome.
Hold on. What about our friendship makes you think that I would have that much positive to say for you?
Yeah, it would be the worst weekend ever. It'd be the worst. I'd be up there like, all right, guys, here's what we're going to do. And TJ would be like, no.
Yep.
He's also a shit slinging ginger.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. But dude, let's get people out there. I'm going to answer my own question. So besides stuff I have to take some continuing ed for certifications and stuff. So that's one of those things that I have to do. Something that I want to do is probably to start seriously training with some of these, like, I'd like to take a lever gun class from Lee. I really would. I had scheduled our dear friend Ashton, unfortunately had to cancel his rifle class or his shotgun class for personal reasons. But I was really looking for this past weekend. I was supposed to be hosting shotgun class with Ashton. That was going to be a good kick-ass event. So I want to get some shotgun work in. I'd like to get Rob hot, right? I'd like to find Rob or Matt while they're still doing it on a range somewhere and take a shotgun class with those guys. And, I don't know. I'd like to dabble in long-range shooting, see if I can hit anything past 51 yards with a rifle. I don't know if I can. So far, I can't see.
If you're zeroed at 50, that's good enough.
It'd be fine. I can't see a problem.
Get out to 200.
I did. I got all the way out to freaking 400. I'm a goddamn hero.
There you go.
All right, man. Well, www.greenmountaindefense.com/training. Defensive pistol metrics and defensive rifle metrics are filling up. Having a lot of half day and full day private lessons with folks. Doing midweek stuff, early mornings, late evenings. We're keeping the home fires burning. Come train with us, greenmountaindefense.com/training. About to announce dates for Mr. Heron next year. Mr. Kelly is on his way up here in just a couple of weeks. bringing up that Apache, advancing everyday carry goodness. Just had a dude at the gun club walk up to me tonight and tell me he signed up for that. So that's freaking awesome. Looking forward to seeing as many guys as I can. I'll be assisting both Timmy and Dan in putting on that program. Dan Brady's going to come up. So lock up your daughters in the South Central Pennsylvania region because Dan Brady's coming to town. That's a little scary. Then I'm heading. I've got defensive pistol metrics in August. I've got it again in early October, and then I've got defensive rifle metrics in November. We're going to work a med class in there between here and the end of the year, do some privates, and we'll see what 2023 brings. We've already got the Jedis and the Tim Herons and the crazy Tim Kellys and Kent Howards of the world doing their traveling schedule. So we'll let you all know where we're going to go, but I have a feeling when you guys see me traveling in 2023, it will be with a toddler and a wife in tow, and we'll be just like tearing up the Eastern Seaboard, shooting guns and shit. So that'll be a lot of fun. So come train with us. And if you can't come train with us for some reason, go train with Apache, go train with Gunset, go train with Tim Herron, go train with Scott Jedlinski, go train with Lee Weems, go train with, I don't know, any of the freaking 100 or so firearms instructors who have been on this show. If you run through all them, email me and I'll get you a fresh list. Rangemaster generally means quality, so does SIG Academy. So does any number of other couple of places that are pretty legit. So go find the people that can help you do the things and press the thing to the rear and point the thing at the thing and hit the thing with the thing. Professional firearms instructor. Big words. Violation.
You good?
I think.
Okay. Folks, that's all the time we have for this week. Thank you again for joining us on the live show. Of course, if you missed this live broadcast, you can always catch us on your favorite podcast player, Springer, Stitcher, Apple, Spotify, all those things. You can find us there coming to a iPhone or smartphone near you. Of course, we mentioned a lot of different things tonight, gun stuff, medical stuff. If you're going to buy gun stuff, you might as well support the channel. Hit our affiliate links, greenmountaindefense.com/affiliate-links. We'll take you over to all of our affiliate programs. Like I said, you're going to buy it anyway. Might as well support the channel in the process. Of course, darkangelmedical.com for all of your medical purposes and needs and training. Code BB15, that's Bravo 15, will get you 15% off at checkout. We get no affiliate kickbacks or anything like that for this, but we think it's important. But we do appreciate if you put it in your order comments that the Sling'N podcast sent you so Kerry knows we're showing him some love. Until we see each other again, God bless you all. Take care of each other. Get out and shoot.